Hello, everybody. This is Ron Callis with another episode of Automation Unplugged, brought to you by One Firefly. So, hope everybody's having a great day. It is Wednesday, 12:34, starting a few minutes late here on January 17th. Hope you've had a great start to your new year. We are streaming live into the One Firefly Facebook page. Let me take a look, see if that looks like that is cooperating. It does look like it's cooperating. If you're out there, please like the video and or comment. If you have questions for our guest, please. The show's always the most fun when we have interaction and we have folks participating, both watching and, of course, commenting and telling us your thoughts. So I'm going to bring in now our guest. We have Helen Heneveld of Bedrock Learning. How are you doing, Helen?
Great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Now, where are you coming to us from? Where are you today?
I am in Holland, Michigan. That's the west side of Michigan. It's probably 12, 14 degrees out there, but sunshine today, so we're happy. And lots of snow on the ground.
You know what? There's a silver lining to every dark cloud, right? So it's the sun is shining. That's a good thing. I'm not going to tell you the temperature here in Florida and or what it looks like outside, because that wouldn't be nice. So I'm not going to do that.
You didn't start your day shoveling like I did.
Yeah, no, I did not start my day shoveling snow. Although my parents are actually in town. My mom and dad are in town from Virginia. And it is brutally cold. It's been single digits up there for quite a while for them. So I know they're enjoying the warm weather.
Yes.
So, Helen, you just returned from Las Vegas. You were out at the CES show.
Yes, last week, 180,000 of my best friends and colleagues in the industry were there with me.
180?
That's 180,000 at least attend the CES. It's the largest business technology show in the world.
Holy banana. You know, I don't know that I should be proud of this, but I've actually been in the industry now, 18 years, and I've never been to CES.
It's an experience. It's something you should experience. I remember going when it was small venue, and now it's taken over the whole city. There's 2.75 million square feet of exhibits.
So how can you even hope to, get across even half of that or a fraction of that? What do you have to go in with a mission or a plan of what you want to see? Yes. You
only see maybe 5-10%. So before I go, I spend a lot of time looking at who's going to be there. What are my goals and objectives of the show? One of my favorite things is Eureka Park. And I remember not too many years ago, Eureka Park was for the startups, and it had maybe 60 tabletops. And that is where I saw the first, what I'm going to call the ultimate user interface, which was telepathy. And it was probably 5 years ago that I did that. I wore a wristband and I was able to move something on a computer screen. Well, think back to one little ballroom with 60 tabletops, and now there are probably 800 exhibitors from countries from around the world, do pavilions, research institutes, research departments of universities are there. It was quite exciting. Just that one floor is something to see, all the startups. Now, 90-some% of them won't be back next year, but you certainly see all the innovation and creativity happening in the world.
So, Helen, I want to get more into CES, and you were awarded a very special recognition this year, and I want to talk about that. But before we go there, for my audience are generally people from the audio-video business, the automation space. Many of them are residential contractors or manufacturers or distributors or reps. There's probably some security contractors, maybe some commercial contractors. But for some of them, they may not be familiar with Bedrock Learning. Can you give just a high-level explanation of that business? And then I'd like you to explore or help us understand how you got here. How did you start Bedrock Learning, if you don't mind?
Yeah. Okay. Bedrock Learning, I started 14 years ago to deliver online training, interactive online training, generic objective to teach the technology behind products because I saw the crisis was going to be qualified installers. Well, in my life, I've always been ahead of my time, 10, 15, 20 years. You're going to laugh at this. Back in 1974, I earned my varsity letter at the University of Michigan, the first year women could earn their varsity letter. And I know you're going to ask what sport.
What sport
swimming.
was it?
Synchronized swimming. Okay.
What? You mean like where you put your legs up in the air?
Yes. Dancing, swimming and dancing to music underwater and such. So I earned my varsity letter, have my letter jacket. That was way ahead of my time. I also went back to undergrad education, master's in athletic administration, and served on the Board of Intercollegiate Athletics at the University of Michigan. The one student, the token female, this is back in the 70s, so very early ahead of my time. I was ahead of my time in my sports. I was ahead of my time in going to graduate school. I went to University of Michigan MBA program, earned my MBA degree in 81 when only 10% of the class was females. Fast forward to today, and I'm really excited about that. That's changed quite a bit. So I had owned several businesses, an import business, a metal finishing, deburr, flash, degrease, parts washers, vibratory finishers, metal in finishing machine industry in a man's world, and I'd done very well there. Then I was looking for something to get into, and I found the concept of home automation. Now, remember, this is back in the late 80s.
So how were you exposed to home automation in the late 80s? I mean,
Well, I had 5 criteria for the type of business I wanted to be in. Market niche not served, phenomenal growth opportunity, bigger than cell phones, bigger than VCRs. I could hire technical expertise. Okay. And I had done well in a man's world, so a non-traditional role for a female. And my last criteria was mail order capabilities. This was before the internet. So mail order capabilities, I said, you can replenish, or get orders incoming 24/7. And now that's what the internet is today. So I found the concept of home automation, a young kid in his early 20s that was passionate about it. And I bought his boxes full of information and the Jetsons and what was happening and such. And he kept saying, we got to open up a retail store. Well, I knew the public was not ready for a retail store selling home automation items. This was before structured wiring. For the only lighting control or remote control was X10, where we used to send and pray that the signal got through and turned it on. So I started a company. And here it is, called Tally, the automation link.
Yeah, TALI.
Yep, and it stood for the.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just lost Helen. So let me get her back. Bear with me here. One moment.
Hi there, I'm back.
All right. Hey there. We lost you, but I'm glad you're back. I told you there's always the random technical challenge, but no worries. So you were telling us about Tally.
Tally was a single source full service integration company. We wired for the future and we made technology easy to use.
Oh my goodness. She keeps dropping, folks. Let me get her back.
I'm back again.
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
So Tally made technology easy to use. The interesting, our tagline back in 1989 was technology for individuality, which we would customize the technology for homeowner.
My goodness, folks. Let's see here. Stand by. We'll see if we can get this resolved. Well, everyone, I appreciate your patience. Internet here is good. So there's nothing obvious from our end. Maybe she's in the middle of a snowstorm. Let's see here. All right. Sorry you guys have to watch me here live solve this problem, but we'll try to get it going.
Three times, four times, five times the charm. I'm back.
Yes. Is there anything obvious from your end, Helen, as to why?
My IT guy checked us, and our internet connection is good, but sometimes technology isn't your friend.
Sometime, amen. That is so true. And it's hard to know. Yeah, it says here our connection speed between us is fast. And, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes the gremlins attack.
That's right.
So, all right, let me get you back on here where the audience can see you. Thank you if you're out there. Thank you for your patience as we troubleshoot this. And by the way, Taylor from my office just messaged you, Ellen. He said, "Hi, Helen. Hope you are well and congrats on your award." And we're going to talk.
Thank you, Taylor. I look forward to talking to you later this week.
Awesome. Okay, so you were just telling us about Tally.
I was telling you about Tally, my home automation installation company based in Grand Rapids, Holland, Michigan. Back in the late 80s, I started it and had it for 10 years and then sold it. I'm glad to say they're still around and serving the high-end consumer and automating their home.
So Tally as an organization or as an integration firm is still alive today?
Yes. The integration firm is still alive. They changed their name to Grand Home Automation because they had grand commercial automation, so they wanted to leverage their branding. So they changed it, but it was Tally, and it's still Tally.
No kidding. And you showed me, before we went on air here, you showed me a magazine where you were actually in that magazine promoting your business, and I think you were in that magazine, and then I know not too long ago you showed me another magazine where you actually were in there with your son.
Yes.
Do you have either of those that you could pull up and show our audience?
Here's you know how famous I am. This is when I'm a cover girl.
Raise
on
it
the
a little
home
higher,
system.
a little bit higher. Yep, there it is. Oh, there you are. Okay, so you were the cover model.
I was the cover girl on the Home Systems Installation magazine. And also, here's an article my son wrote bragging about how he's had home automation for 5 years. And this was back in the early 90s. And he talks about how he was able to get the Butler in a Box voice control unit working faster and sooner than his mother could get it working. He said home automation is cool. He's now 34 and working in IT, of course. So the funny thing is, back when I started Tally, this was our brochure in 1990. Shows the house in the center, the systems we could control, audio, video, security, lighting, HVAC, and the methods of control, touchscreen, timers, remote control, etc. Nothing has changed. And we said, keep your home from becoming out of date. That was back in 1990. So for those that don't know, I did home automation. This is a 2-page spread in the Detroit Free Press. In 92, The House That Can, voice-activated system adds personal freedom for a quadriplegic. He could open doors, make phone calls, change TV channels, control the lights, etc., open doors, all by his voice. It was really a cool system that we did. And this was before some of the software engineers.
Who else, Helen, in the country was getting publicity like this around the topic of home automation?
No one.
I mean, you're talking almost 28 years ago.
Yes. This is 25 plus years ago. And I set a goal. This is a good marketing for all your integrators and everybody. Get published every month. That published could be in your home builder's newsletter, which we were in often. It could be in your local newspaper. It could be on a TV show. But every month I wanted Tally to have exposure. And so we were nationally exposed and international. We actually did houses in Canada too. So we have a plethora of articles and magazines. We did a home in Tucson, Arizona called Green Home, built for the earth, the people in the 21st century, where they did recycled glass for the counters, recycled tires for the floor. We had voice control in there. We had automation. So if they opened, they could put it in grandkid mode. If they opened the door, the house said, "Don't go out to the pool without your grandma or grandpa." Okay, when it was in grandkid mode. So we did all sorts of fun things, and that was written up in magazines, and we partnered with Tucson Light and Power. This is back in the early 90s. So yes, we were way ahead of our time.
I have a question. So I have a perspective that, and I've been in the business for a little bit, that a lot of the businesses and a lot of the people, I feel that for some reason, and I love to ask my guests their opinion on this, it feels like maybe historically it's been more male dominated industry than female. And here you were almost 30 years ago as a business owner, leader, forging your way, carving your own path. And how did you do that? And and what's your perspective of maybe how that do you see a shift happening in our industry from then to the present?
I definitely see a shift, and it's a good shift. I'll go back. I invented the first multi-port plate. It was called the on-ramp to the information superhighway. It had two RJ45s and two for category 3 or 5. I tried to talk them up to Cat 5 back then. And two RJ45s and a coax connector. Okay. And I had it made by Tiverton Audio. And they said, "Why do you want these multi-jacks in this single plate?" And I said, "One, because I'm a girl and I don't want 4 outlets on my wall. I want 1 outlet on my wall." Okay. Now, isn't it a good thing that I patented that? That was before anybody had multi-port plates.
That would have been genius if you would have been. You're like a multi-billionaire by now, right?
Yeah, not. I thought it was so obvious I didn't patent it. So wish I had. So it was just an obvious thing. So back then I was doing home automation, and I realized every house I went in doing home automation had audio video. After a couple of years, I saw that and I said, "Oh, I can double sales," because audio video was the same amount of money as my home automation. So I said, "I'm going to learn audio video." Hired a guy who really knew his stuff. Scott came in, he sat me down, he talked to me about audio video and blindfolded me and made me listen. And I learned it, and I'd go out and talk to the homeowners, and I'd come back and say, "Okay, I got 24,000. We're going to put in better music system and then good music in the bedrooms," or whatever. He said, "Yeah, but what, speakers?" I said, "You pick the brands." You sold it and they signed it. They don't even know what brands. And I said, yes, because they trusted me. And that was the female selling. And that, I'm going to say, has carried over. Very successful in the sales, because I realized they wanted the technology transparent. The male in the family, in the home, wanted it. So they were mavericks. I'm going to call them the mavericks. They wanted the latest technology in the home, et cetera. But it was getting to know the homeowners, both the female in the house and the children, and how they were going to live with the technology, and finding the one little thing that made a difference for them and making that happen. So that is where I think early on I leveraged being a woman in the industry. I did hear from some of the builders, "It scares me when Helen shows up with her tool belt on." No problem. Sent out my guys to do the sale. Then they'd call me up on the phone and ask me the technical stuff to make home automation happen, and I would tell them. Okay. So
that's amazing.
I know. So also in 2000, the CTA came out with their very first certificate. Oh, I was the first woman on the board of directors at CTA, so I broke that ceiling. And also when they came out with their first certification at one of the banquets, there were 1,400 people at the banquet, and they asked the first 100 certified installers to come up on stage. It was me and 99 guys.
Wow.
So that was back in 2000. So again, I've been ahead of my time. Okay. So I've done a lot. And I think my early elementary education training and such, I'm not coming from technology, but coming from a pragmatic world. I designed, here is the puzzle house. The puzzle house were the different systems, audio, video, security, lighting. And this is how I explained to the consumer what you need. And do you want that piece in your house? Okay. What is so important, all the pieces are held together by the network. Okay. And this was how we educated the consumer about the options, the systems, and why they needed a network in their home. And that was back in my, with Tally. Okay, I sold Tally in the late 1990s and said, we need to educate the world. So I did a lot of training, traveled around the world, went to Australia 4 times, went to Dubai, did a 2-day training there, which was interesting. I said, how can I train? My colleagues went with me. I said, how can I train as a woman? They said, no, you're a woman from another country. You know your stuff. They were so respectful. It was great fun. Trained in Europe. I trained for CTA, did a lot of training then. Then I got involved with the training department and we did training videos. Okay. Now this is back in the day.
Oh, is that VHS?
VHS. You're
nice.
Right. So.
Oh no, we lost her again. Let's see here. Let's try to get her back. She's on a roll.
I'm back.
All right. We'll see if it cooperates.
Okay, so I was showing you the training videos, and I did that for several years, all generic training again, but I realized that was a one-way learning, and then that led to me starting Bedrock Learning 14 years ago, and I jumped over webinars. Webinars share information. They don't educate, and you learn stuff, but they don't educate you on the technology behind the product. So Bedrock Learning does online training with interactive questions and to move ahead in the course, etc. So that's when I started Bedrock Learning, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
So was the goal, Helen, to take your love for teaching and packaging information in a way that's consumable by your audience? Was that the I guess the passion behind trying to turn that into a business in Bedrock Learning, where you could, say, create courses that customers could buy either in, I guess, VHS or via online methods of delivery? Is that why or how that came about?
Yes, my passion for training, remember, it was simple. I can take complexity and simplify it down and teach it. And so my love for the industry, when I found it, I said, this is it, I'm all excited. And then 2, having been an integrator and figuring out pragmatic ways to do things and documentation and such, that then it was a natural extension. I was doing training. I remember at the early CTA Expo, I stood behind the counter, took people's money, registered for my class, and then ran down the hall and taught the class. Okay. Now I just go in and teach. It's much better. So, but I've always had a passion for helping others. And I have a full day session I did in the early 90s called Warp into Business. It was how to get into this industry and start a business in it. I also, very boring. Here's a 870-page book I wrote for McGraw-Hill for the DHTI Plus Digital Home Technology Integrator certification by CompTIA, CEA and CompTIA, and wrote that book. And it's older, but it was good. When it came out, it was the Bible for the technology of the industry. I'm currently writing a book called Connected Home and Smart Office Technologies, and that will be out within a year. And again, it will be...
Are you doing that through an association? Is that book,
yes,
the new one you're writing, part of some
I'm actually doing that for the Electrical Training Alliance. Okay, and they'll be using it. They have training centers all over the country. They'll be using it in their training centers. And then also I will be able to share that book as a resource for dealers and integrators and a curriculum in trade schools and community colleges and such. So that's what we're writing the book for.
So time is running away from us,
yep.
And I probably have taken too long to dig into this. So you were awarded the CTA 2018 Leadership Award. Can you, and by the way, congratulations. That's amazing. And it's clear even from just hearing about your past and what you've done for the industry that you've absolutely been a leader for many, many years. But can you tell us about that experience and what that was like receiving that on the stage in Las Vegas?
Well, the best thing is the award is for your dedication and your time and commitment to the industry and your passion for the industry. And as anybody who knows me knows, I'm passionate about home automation, and I'm passionate about helping others and contributing to their success. So being recognized by my peers was humbling and honoring, and it really, really made a difference. I also, I look back to when I was the first female involved, the certified, etc. And in that, when I did my acceptance speech, I said, I want all the females to stand up. And here we had 45% of the attendees were females in the industry. And I have over the years had so many women come up to me and say, thank you, Helen, for your gumption to get out there and stand up for us. I'm just an installer. And I said, no, you're not an installer. So I'm really, really proud and humbled to have inspired and mentored so many women in our industry. And I think that's changing. It's really happening. I also started Women of Worth, which was a women in technology group, and turned over the list to Carol Campbell, who's done a great job building the Women in CT and Consumer Technologies. And we were on the cover of the CES Daily, all the Women Award winners and such. So I feel great to have contributed not only to our industry and helping people get started and succeed in the industry, but to helping women find a place and a voice.
So what's next for Helen? What's on your hit list? What for accomplishments or activities you want to take on here in 2018?
Well, in 2018, I'm going to get that book done, okay, and get that to be published, which I think our industry really, really is in need of. I got some other product ideas, that on-ramp. I have something else I'm working on. And I really want to get the education out there with others. It's time others pick it up and run with it. We partner with different associations and such with our training. And there's such a need. Oh, I didn't even mention the past year I chaired a workforce development white paper for CABA. And that is 65 pages about how to build, who's building the workforce, what are the skills needed, where the shortcomings are and such. So I really that's one of the reasons I'm writing the book, is to contribute to helping build the workforce to deliver all this. I want to inspire our young people that they're careers in our industry, and they're fun careers.
What advice do you have, Helen, for those integrators, those small businesses that are watching and listening to you, and I would imagine in awe of your 30 years of leadership in this space? What from your observations, what are maybe some pieces of advice that you could give them that could help lead to their success or their continued success?
Okay, first, believe in yourself and your ideas, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And I'm glad I didn't realize it was going to take the 20-some years for home automation to come to fruition, because I probably would have quit long ago. But believe in yourself, have the confidence, stand up for what you believe in, contribute and get involved, volunteer. I would say the relationships with my colleagues, yourself included, comes from just wanting to make a difference and getting to know people. I mean, whenever I go to any industry event, I always try to sit at a table where I don't know anybody. My fellow team members, I say, we're not sitting together, we're all going to meet new people. So get out there, make a difference, and get involved and learn. So I said I write for SDM Magazine. I just finished my CES cover recap story. And read the industry magazine, CE Pro, SDM, Technology Integrator, Residential Systems. Read those, get involved, attend the events, get involved in the associations, CTA TechHome Division, the CDA, etc. It's through that you're going to learn and grow.
Were there any takeaways you had from attending CES that, I know you only got to see 5 or 10% of the show floor, but through either your interactions or maybe those that you are friends with or peers with, maybe what they saw, Any big takeaways? Any big news coming out of the show?
Yeah, one is it was a total technology tsunami. I mean, it was technology everywhere. And one of my hidden, and it's all about big data. I wrote an article about 6 months ago about the data, it's who owns the data. And the keynote by Intel, the CEO of Intel said that the hidden power of the data, it's in the analytics and knowing that. Right now, we're just collecting all that data. One big takeaway was it was about being human. Everything is about us being human, being well, being comfortable, the fitness items, the wearables that can work my muscles. They have fabrics that will work the muscles for the guys when they're in up and outer space. They can sense your sugar level by just the socks you wear. I mean, it's just amazing. So technology is about me as a person, the human aspect. How do I connect with my family? How can technology help my family? How can I feel better? A lot about indoor air quality, the HVAC. Oh, lighting was huge, tunable lighting, white lighting. And how do I adjust the ambient lighting? And I have my well-being and productivity increases with control of the lighting around me. So I would say one of my takeaways was the human aspect of technology coming back to us as humans and how that technology can help us not only connect, but improve our quality of life.
So I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to hit one of these upcoming CESs. I don't know if it'll be next year, but sometime soon I'll make sure to do that. Helen, it's been a pleasure having you on Automation Unplugged. This is episode number 30. So that's a nice round number.
Number of years I've been in the industry.
There you go. It's perfectly. We did that on purpose. That's how that happened. But thank you very much for being a guest on our show. You have so much to share and so much passion. It's really been fun having you on.
Thank you, Ron, for the opportunity. It's great. Keep up your good work.
Oh, well, thank you. I will certainly do that. I can only do that because I'm surrounded by a great team. And I know I've heard you say the same about your team many times. So we'll keep doing what we're doing. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for another episode. Again, please like this. If you like the interviews, you like the content, that's how we get this content shared with your peers and your friends. Again, feel free to comment. Put a comment in the comment section. If you want others to be guaranteed to see that, share the video. And thank you. And Helen is here to help. I have, in fact, dropped the Bedrock Learning website link right into the comment section. So if you want to know how to find Helen and find her business and all of her awesome training offerings, it's right there. So definitely please be sure to check that out. So on that note, folks, I'm going to sign off. I want you to have a great Wednesday, great rest of your week. And I will see you next time on Automation Unplugged. Thanks, guys.